Good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us. It's a beautiful day out there, a beautiful day to have for Mother's Day. So thank you for joining us. Um, Excited to talk about mothers today. And so to get started, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there, um, and want you to know that the world truly is a better place because of mothers, and it's pretty neat. So. Um, when Bishop Norris asked me to speak over the YouTube feed today, I was really nervous. I would be more comfortable speaking in front of like 500 people because if you make a mistake, it's a lot less intimidating because most likely nobody's paying attention to you, and you'll let it get by. But if I mess up on camera, it's recorded. I'm pretty sure, knowing my friends and family, it's gonna present itself at an inopportune time. So, um, anyways, I've written my talk today rather than just my footnotes, so um, I'm actually excited to give it. When you're asked to speak, your personal study takes kind of a different level. You're a little bit more in depth. It's very more direct, and I've had a lot of fun just immersing myself in this topic, and I've learned a lot this last little while. So. Um, uh, Fortunately for me, I've got a long history of really cool mothers. My mom, my grandma, Frankie's a great mother. Um, a long history of it, and it took several mothers while I was growing up to keep me in line. All of my friends' moms weren't afraid to keep me in check, so it's been a lot of fun. So um, some of the adventures that we've had with my mom and my grandma's, we've taken my grandma's rollerblading, racing go-karts, long road trips, fishing in the ocean, even hunting or riding dirt bikes. And we've got another guest here today. Um, so back to where I was at, when my mom bought a dirt bike, I'm pretty sure that it wasn't because she wanted a dirt bike, but the example that she was in my life, she was always interested in doing what we were doing and trying to encourage us and be a part of what we were doing. And we had a lot of fun. It's fun to watch the different perspective now, going from that to now being a dad and watching Frankie be a mom. She usually tells me that I'm the biggest kid, and she has to take care of, but we do have a lot of fun. Uh, Growing up, my mom always portrayed her wisdom with quotes, and so there's a lot of quotes. I called and talked to her and got a lot of these. I talked to my grandma and tried to figure some of these out. And as a disclaimer, these were always said with a smile. Some of the quotes aren't necessarily appropriate for this setting, but we always had a lot of fun with it. The first one, she always told me, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. This one helped me learn how to behave in public. It helped me to control myself a little bit. There's another one that taught me how to be careful in dangerous situations. She would tell me that if you fall and break your leg, don't come running to me. Um, that one gets used pretty frequently in our house. If your friends jump off a bridge, does that mean you're going to follow them? So we would always try to comfort her and say, well, we were probably the ones that jumped off of the bridge first, and we were going to be the ones trying to get everybody else to jump off with us. So some of the other ones that she used, it'll feel better when it quits hurting. Rub some dirt on it. Don't make me come down there. And your face is going to freeze like that. Unfortunately, it didn't. Um, so when you take a moment to step back and reflect, it would be extremely difficult to be a mom, especially if you have kids as crazy as what we were. There's always something to stress about. And in today's world, we have many more stressors, a lot of things. There's always a reason that we need to be on the lookout for our kids, with the internet, with TV, with everything. There are always reasons to be concerned. And for a mom that's trying to prepare them for what the future holds, but still protect them from it, trying to find that right balance of preparing them and protecting them is extremely difficult to maintain. Um, and there's no perfect recipe for it. It's something that we've got to figure out. An example of this was something that I witnessed in our own home quite a while ago. one of the kids was very young, probably about 2 years old, and she was trying to reach definitely above her head to get a brand new unopened gallon of milk. And as you can imagine, it was too much for her to handle, and the gallon fell to the floor and it exploded like nothing you have ever seen. It was unbelievable how fast and how far 128 ounces of milk can cover and go into crevices that you would never imagine possible. Frankie stopped what she was doing and looked over. I was kind of nervous myself, and we looked at Sierra, and her eyes were big and kind of starting to water up, and you could tell that she was kind of scared of what was going on. She didn't know if she was in trouble. It was a loud bang. There was mess everywhere. And Frankie just stopped what she was doing. She looked over at her, and you could see the immediate remorse. And she said, "What do we do when we spill the milk?" And so I was kind of interested myself, and she said, "We clean it up." And so, grab a rag and please help me get this cleaned up. And so that saying is not just for that situation. It's more than just we don't freak out over spilled milk, but the lesson behind it is what happens when we mess up, because we're all going to mess up. And what happens when we do that? We clean it up and we try to improve, and we try to get better. And that's one of the sayings that is frequent in our house, and we know it, and the kids know the saying by heart. What happens when we mess up? We fix it. There was a quote that I came across when I was studying from James E. Faust, and it states that there's no greater good in all the world than motherhood. The influence of a mother in the lives of her children is beyond calculation. And so not just with that spirit, with that instance, I hope that the kids can take that and they can learn through it throughout their lives. Thinking back, one of the stories that I enjoyed with my mom, she would always try to teach us self-control. And one of the things that she would tell us, it's really good to be excited. It's good to feel all of our emotions, but we do need to do our best to try to control those. As I get older, there's a lot of wisdom in that message, just controlling ourselves. Several years back, my mom drew a good elk tag down in the Book Cliffs area of eastern Utah. I'm pretty sure she wasn't applying for that tag because she was born to be an elk hunter. That was, again, an example of her showing us that she's taking interest in things that we do. We were on the hunt, and one day we were working down off of a ridge. It was just me and my mom, and it was during September, so the elk were screaming, and it was a lot of fun. And so in order to show her what the elk hunt was about and expose her to bugling bulls and everything else, we found a spot. So we worked our way down off of a ridge. It was pretty thick timber, and we found a spot to set up. We had a good idea where the elk were, had the wind in our favor, and so I started doing the call sequence. As I started the call sequence, I looked over at my mom, and you could tell that she was excited and nervous and everything else. And so she was kind of fidgeting and kind of squirming a little bit and moving around, and she kept asking me, well, what's going to happen next? What am I going to do? And I finally had to tell her, Mom, sit still and be quiet. And she kind of looked at me, and we giggled, and it was kind of a turn of roles for a second, but it was a lot of fun. And even with all of that commotion, I don't know how it happened, but a bull was working his way in, and a small bull poked his head around a couple of trees, and he was within 5 to 10 yards. He was really close to us, and you could tell that's when Mom had had enough. She kind of yelled at me and said, "That's enough!" And elk blew out of there. There were elk going everywhere, and we laughed and had a lot of fun. And I wasn't sure if the smile was because she was so nervous or if it was because she was having fun. It was a really good experience, and that was the first time that I really had a glimpse of helping somebody try something new. Not that it hadn't happened before, but that was one of the times that I recognized the significance of it. And that moment when a mother gets to see a child's eyes when they're trying something new, and the excitement and the fear and everything that goes with it, And that's something that that mothers get to experience several times. And when the kids are young and there's a lot more of those experiences going on and thinking about everything, they're really only young for a short time. And there's a lot of stress involved in those younger years. The highs are very high and the lows are very low. A lot of anxiety associated with it, and it's crazy. It really is an emotional roller coaster. And in order to find that and teach the kids and take care of everything, there's no perfect recipe for that experience. We just take a series of experiences. We try to live them to our best of our ability and try to have a lot of fun along the way. But it's definitely an adventure. I came across a talk from the fall session of 2015 from Elder Jeffrey R. Holland during this conference talk, just to kind of paraphrase what he says. No love in mortality comes closer to approximating the pure love of Jesus Christ than the selfless love of a devoted mother has for her child. This kind of resolute love suffereth long, and is kind, seeketh not her own, but beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, and endureth all things. You see, it's not only that they bear us, but they continue bearing with us. It's not only the prenatal carrying, but the lifelong carrying that makes mothering such a staggering feat. Of course, there are heartbreaking exceptions, but most mothers know intuitively, instinctively, that this is the sacred trust of the highest order. And I thought that was a really powerful talk. There was a little bit more that I came across in that talk. Another quote, he mentions that he received a letter from a young mother, and I think it sums it up beautifully. It says, "How is it that a human being can love a child so deeply that you willingly give up a major portion of your freedom for it? How can mortal love be so strong that you voluntarily subject yourself to responsibility, vulnerability, anxiety, and heartache, and just keep coming back for more of the same? What kind of mortal love can make you feel once you have a child that your life is never, ever your own again? Maternal love has to be divine. There's no other explanation for it. What mothers do is an essential element of Christ's work." And I believe that wholeheartedly. In the scriptures, I know Mother's Day talk is complete without talking about the stripling warriors. And my favorite verse on that is Alma 57:21. And it says, "Yea, they did obey and observe to perform every word and command with exactness. Yea, even according to their faith, it was done unto them. And they did remember the words which they said unto me, which their mothers had taught them." Throughout scriptures, throughout our lives, mothers are a major influence. The highs and the lows that are associated with it, and like Elder Holland mentioned earlier, no love in mortality comes closer to approximating the pure love of Jesus Christ than the selfless love a devoted mother has for her child. It's an extremely Christ-like attribute. It's the Christ-like calling, and necessary. There was a poem that I came across from Helen Steiner Rice, and it reads, "A mother's love is something that no one can explain. It is made of deep devotion and of sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may, for nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaking. It never fails or falters, even though the heart is breaking. It believes beyond believing when the world around condemns, and it glows with all the beauty of the rarest, brightest gems. It is far beyond defining, it defies all explanation, and it still remains a secret like the mysteries of creation. A many-splendored miracle man cannot understand, and another wondrous evidence of God's tender guiding hand." As I studied for this, there were many thoughts that came to my mind. And first, being a mom is extremely difficult, and I can't even imagine everything that goes with it. I've been a part of it my whole life, but I don't fully understand everything. The blessings that it brings with it are unbelievable. It's amazing, the the blessings, the struggles, the good times, everything that comes with it. It's a lifelong experience, and it's not just a job. It's a way of life. Being a mom takes grit, and that was one that I feel for sure because I know I've put my mom through a lot, and I still do. I try to keep her on her toes, and watching the kids and the just it's difficult to describe the level of love that's there. Um, Being a mom is not for the faint of heart, especially moms of boys, like what me and my brother were. Scraped knees, or in our case, we had several broken bones. We made big messes. There are disagreements, fights, tears, disappointment, but also special moments that you can share. And I still make an effort to call my mom regularly. We talk about a lot of things, and having a lot of it's a lifelong relationship. And then helping Frankie be the mom and do do what she needs me to do and make more messes for her to clean up and all of that fun stuff. I'm good at that. But I do have a testimony on mothers and how much of an impact that they have made in my life, and countless others, and that without mothers, I wouldn't even want to imagine what the world would be like. We're definitely in a better place because of mothers, and that it is truly the most Christ-like calling that you can have, creating and raising children and teaching them and helping them, and it is an extremely selfless act, and it's it's pretty neat. I know my life has been really impacted by it, but I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.